Merry Christmas Eve, Canada. We have a special On the Hunt holiday broadcast for you today, which is to say it's going to be short and it's going to be sweet. Why? Because it's Christmas break, and I frankly won't be part of the growing trend where family time is code for people with the same last name looking at their phones in the room together. Now, I have no intention of turning your Christmas cheer into a chip on your shoulder, so no, this won't be a war on Christmas rant. The internet already has plenty of those. Nor will this be a lecture on the true meaning of Christmas. I'd encourage the baptized to head to an actual church with priests and the Eucharist for that. Instead, I'm going to share with you my unabashedly Christian Christmas wish list. First up, I'm wishing for an end to the politically correct fiction that the West is not Christian. The truth is, the two most populous Western countries, the United States and Brazil, are overwhelmingly Christian. And we're talking about the sorts of Christians who are unafraid to admit that they actually believe in the miracles surrounding Christmas. Now, according to a recent, very rigorous Pew poll, the overwhelming majority of American adults believe that Mary was a virgin when she delivered Jesus. They also believe that the three wise men were real guys, and that Jesus was actually placed in a manger, and that angels announced his salvific birth to the shepherds. Well, a majority, still 65% of U.S. citizens believe all of the above. Now, you're free not to believe it yourself, but it's impossible to deny. America is still a Christian country. And it's not just for the knuckle-dragging uneducated, thank you very much. Among the millions of Americans with postgraduate degrees, between 53 and 65% of them, again, clear majorities, believe in each one of those traditional assertions I just mentioned. And Brazil, well, it's even more fervent in Christian terms than the U.S. Meanwhile, things aren't all gloom and godless doom up here north of the 49th either. Christianity in Canada is not, as some would have you believe, in dire decline. While it's true a segment of the population is inclined to reject religion, a bigger and more solid group embraces religion. And I'll let you in on a little secret. The boost in our numbers is actually coming from abroad. And when you consider that about 67% of Canada's population growth now comes from migratory increase, a number that is poised to reach 80% by 2031 because frankly, well, we folks over here aren't really having babies the way we used to. Well, religion in Canada isn't going away anytime soon. So the next time you're encouraged to ensure your holiday party isn't a Christmas party in disguise, or that your kids are told not to wear green and red to school during the Christmas season, or your boss tells you not to wish the customers a Merry Christmas, I would like to encourage folks to politely ask the PC police if they've ever personally had a Muslim, had a Hindu, or had a Jew tell them that the mistletoe and the ho-ho-ho ruined their day. Perhaps you could suggest to the PC heat that maybe, just maybe, affluenza is a made-up disease manufactured by educrats and bureaucrats with nothing better to do, frankly. And while, big surprise, there is no guaranteed freedom from offense in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, there is a freedom of religion and a freedom of expression. So they'll just have to excuse you as you carry on about your merry business. Which brings me to my second wish, that Christians in the West stop hiding their light under a bushel. Popular culture and academia in this hemisphere say it's uncool and antiquated to be Christian, and they're entitled to that opinion. But that doesn't mean we should just sit down and shut up, because speaking up does work. Just look at the success in British Columbia, which saw that province's Supreme Court finally rule in favor of Trinity Western's law school. Or the Christian concert in Yonge Dundas Square, which at first was denied a permit to praise and worship, but after a recent hearing might actually see a reversal of that decision. All because Christians inserted and engaged themselves in the public sphere. See, all too often, Christians in the West are inclined to simply turn the other cheek. But we have to remember, sometimes the truth, it can be antagonistic. I mean, even Jesus flipped tables on occasion. The West's growing toxic obsession with political correctness is pushing freedom of religion, conscience, and expression into the dark. But it's part of our calling as members of the priesthood of all believers to stay in the ring. Because if we don't stand up for our bedrock rights and freedoms, who will? Think about it. Which brings me to my next wish, and it's pointed at the priests and parents. How can we expect the faithful to evangelize, heck, to expand in their own personal faith, if they are sent out into battle unequipped? The faithful need to be hearing about the church's stance on current events and contemporary crosses from the pulpit every week. Otherwise, when we're confronted by someone's pressing us on, say, abortion, which is legal, by the way, during all 9 months of gestation in this country, or euthanasia, which is about to become legal early next year, even though we don't have a single guideline in place, or sex ed forced upon our separate school systems, or the threat of Islamic fundamentalism, or even your run-of-the-mill arguments from your everyday militant atheist. How are the laity expected to combat these secular forces seemingly being fired at them from all ends if they're not receiving proper formation and proper instruction from their parishes? And pious parents, the church's future in this nation is up to you. It's easy to blame Hollywood, your kids' friends, or teachers, video games, but the list, it's endless. But the Christian faith, Christian formation, fasting, prayer, and almsgiving, all of that begins in the home. Naturally, some will hear my supplications today as a call for the union of church and state. That's not what this is at all. Of course, I acknowledge that Canada is a rich and diverse country, but I, for one, am not prepared to swap her Judeo-Christian heritage, ethics, and enlightenment for a morality based on risky relativism, empty equivalence, or nitwit nihilism. Our Canadian national anthem includes the words, "God keep our land glorious and free." That is my hope for this country. But as is written, faith without works is dead. And so we, like our freedom-loving forefathers who fought under the red ensign and the maple leaf, we too must do our parts. My fourth and final wish is more of a prayer. This Christmas, as we celebrate Christ's birth, I pray we too experience rebirth, not to mention a sense of freedom, in knowing the greatest truth there is, that we are all children of God. And a special prayer for the sick, suffering, and selfless this Christmas. May you tangibly feel God's love for you during this holy season and into the new year. And as we await in joyful vigilance for the second coming of Christ, I pray you celebrate round 1 to the fullest. Merry Christmas, everyone.